So this will be the final video in the three-part series about how to use ArcGIS StoryMaps. I hope the other two videos give you a good foundation of how to get started and how to put something together. There are some certainly additional customizable elements of HTML, and you can play around with the different themes and the styles to build upon the basic stuff I've taught. But hopefully you've got a good starting point. And this last one really is meant to kind of firmly drive home the concept I've discussed in both videos about how this is simply a lens, right? It's a filter through which you're viewing this. And this will be true for all of the applications that I teach on this channel, whether it's a presentation, a story map, or a web app. All of them reference this, right? You need a map that you're going to actually change and mess with the extent and add new data and change how it can be analyzed and looked at. And that reflects itself here, right? So at a base minimum, I just want to show you a couple examples. Let's say I turn this on. It's a facility in the south side, and I gave it a label right here. If I turn that on and hit save, it doesn't really look like I've done anything. Especially if I'm here, it doesn't appear that anything's changed. But anytime you make a change to your map and save it, if you reload your story map, what you'll see is there it is. Now, I didn't turn that on, right? I didn't go into my content here and say, make Ingalls facility turn on. But because it is on here, and that's the point I was making, that at a base minimum, your story map will show whatever is shown here. That's why it's good practice, unless you know you have something that always needs to be on, just turn everything off. Because it's going to be true in all of my slides, right? It's on all of them no matter what. There it is. But I could quickly go right back, turn it off, and save it. Do the same thing I did previously, reload the page. And no longer do you have the Ingalls down in the south. The same thing applies to new data. So if you were to come in here and add a layer, I don't want to go through that whole process, I'll just do something simpler. I'll take this one and I'll just copy it. And maybe I'll rename that example final copy layer. Turn it on so I can see it. I'll really mess with like the symbology here. I'll come in here. Give this like a single location symbol. Come in here and maybe make you like, I don't know, a disaster symbol. You're going to be like that for some reason, and you're going to be gigantic. And then turn off your layer. Say you're not going to be labeled. And I'll come in and I'll change your pop-up so it's different than the base one. So you'll just be a custom attribute display. That'll say the word cheese. Kind of large. And I'll save. And I'm going to actually keep it off just to show you that because we've already proven that you create something and it turns on, it's there. But if I create it, I could now edit my maps to also incorporate that. So now I could come back here and come into the stage and say, like, I just spent a lot of time creating that weird cheese thing there, and I'm really happy about the pop-up menu that I just say cheese. And so I now need that to be a part of my map on the first slide, but not any of the other slides, just right here. And then I view my story. And right there we go, I've got my cheese kind of right there. So this point was to say that these are where you make the edits. This is where you add the data. This is where you edit the attribute tables. This is where you edit the pop-ups, the colors, the symbology, the filter criteria. You do it here, save it, and then just reload your maps here and those layers will be available for you to play with, to turn on and off, to do whatever it is that you need to tell your story. So last thing before I wrap up, when you created a map here and you save it, and if you come back to your ArcGIS Online, and you go to content, it always is going to show up as a web mapping app right here, right? There's example today. And so I can view its details, and here I don't need to go to, storymaps.arcgis.com. I can see it here. I can configure it. I can edit it from here if I wanted. There it is right back in my editing window. I can view it from here. I can share it from here. I can control the usage and all of the other settings that you're able to do on ArcGIS Online. So that's basic story maps. I think that should hopefully give you enough to get started and build something pretty cool with. And then as always, software is constantly changing, and the nature of all GIS softwares, in my experience, in particular Arc, is there's always a lot of cool features kind of just hidden. And so one of the best ways to keep learning is just explore it and play around with it by yourself. Take care.